thank you. It's great to be here, and thanks for a little bit of grace here. We were at the Relationship Safety Alliance fundraiser up at Grandview Lodge, which went better than we could have ever expected. So I appreciate having a little bit of time to make it to the meeting today. So thanks for having me. Should I just head right into it? Okay. All right. Well, so as you know, the last time I was here, we were talking about a business survey of Baxter businesses to get business sentiment, to quantify business sentiment around the proposed overpass design, 371 over 210. So that's what I'm here to present to you today, both on behalf of the Brainerd Lakes Chamber and the Brainerd Lakes Area Economic Development Corporation, better known as BLADEC. Tyler sends his regrets he could not make it tonight. So I'm tonight speaking on behalf of both organizations. Thanks again for allowing me to share the feedback. And then the other thing I want to say thanks for is for giving your feedback on the survey. I can tell you that every comment that you made at the last meeting, as well as the county engineer Tim Bray, MnDOT, and the city administrator, was all reflected in the survey. We took every edit, every change, every suggestion in the survey. So what you're seeing today is the results of that. So I am going to try to multitask here with the few buttons, so bear with me. So just a really quick synopsis of the timeline. And the one thing that I will talk about here in a slide or two is the important date of January 2023, where the Chamber issued what I would refer to as a conditional Corridors of Commerce support letter, indicating our support for an intersection improvement with some stipulations around that. So that's kind of where the process started for the Chamber. And then we host a series of business sessions, feedback sessions in December of last year, June of this year. Again, if you rewind the clock to December of last year, we were just taking a look at pretty much the same presentation that you saw, which was 5 different design concepts. At that point, we had about 80 attendees for that, and then another 80 just about a month and a half ago in June, where they unveiled the button hook design as the preferred design option. So what I would say about those 2 sessions is that they were feedback sessions, but it took businesses some time to absorb the information. When you get a bunch of business owners together in that first one, you're presenting 5 concepts. I think that the general mood of the room is, well, that's interesting, let's see where it goes. So they get a ton of feedback on that 5. When they presented the button hook design, and we had that 30-minute or so PowerPoint presentation, there was a little bit of a hesitation to immediately respond. But like I told you before, I got all the responses after that meeting. So then we did the June-July survey, and I also attended the open house. I know a number of you did too, and I spent a lot of time on the telephone with MnDOT and a meeting at our office as well. So we've been very collaborative, trying to keep the lines of communication open throughout the process. The other thing I would mention here too is that, of course, MnDOT, as part of their process, they conduct their own community survey. That's open to anybody that wants to participate. It's online. They had 130 responses, and what really grabbed our attention was that out of 130, only 5 identified as business owners, and we thought that was a missing data point. So that's the reason behind the Chamber BLADEC survey. So the other thing that I wanted to just show you, and you see this in, I believe, in your packet as well, I mentioned it just a couple of minutes ago, was this conditional support letter from January 2023. This was the second time that we being the Chamber, was approached to write a support letter, and the first time that they asked the Government Affairs Committee, which informs all those decisions from the Chamber, said, we don't want to do that because we don't know what we're supporting. We don't know the design that we're supporting. So they said, thanks for coming, but we're not ready to do that yet. The county engineer, Tim Bray, and others came back to us and said, would you issue a support letter for an intersection improvement that was sort of explicitly written so that the business community would be involved in the design process. So that's what you see here in your packet. And what I would like to highlight in that letter is a very carefully worded line, and you can see it white up there, that we're supporting the project with the heightened expectation that we're going to find solutions that maximize economic growth and minimize undesirable impacts. That's what we thought we were signing up for. And we still hold that expectation today. We feel like the business community is a key player in this. It certainly has a lot on the line, so we still want to hold them to that handshake agreement. To me, when you look at working closely starts with making presentations to the business community with the June and December sessions, but it doesn't end there. So yes, we did get the feedback sessions from MINDOT. Yes, we had a number of attendees. Yes, there were questions asked and answered. But now when the businesses start to digest what this means for them, the consequences of certain design options, now the expectation is that they're going to take some of that feedback and actually improve or alter the design that they've come up with. The other thing that I would say is this corridors of commerce program through the state of Minnesota is to advance economic growth. That's really the point of it. That's where the $58 million came from. It's to advance economic growth. They specifically call out economic competitiveness as one of 8 equal parts of scoring. So when they score these applications, there's my understanding is that 800 points, 100 points is awarded based on economic competitiveness, which is jobs and business activity. The other one is 100 points is community consensus. Community consensus is when a chamber of commerce or an economic development corporation says, we're going to support this. That's worth 100 points. So I feel like the chamber and BLADEC, specifically the chamber for issuing that letter, may have been the impetus for the project getting funded. I don't know that for a fact, but I suspect that's true. So you can see really quickly the methodology. We really worked hard to make sure the questions were objective, non-leading. You can see the collection period. We sent this out to 196 Baxter businesses. Those were our members. And then we had 70 respondents, 31 opted to remain anonymous. Our goal was 50, so it exceeded our goal of 70 respondents. So I want to, before I delve into the report itself and give you the survey highlights, one of the things I wanted to lift up is what this report is not. We are not pushing to kill the project. I just want to make that abundantly clear. We want to be collaborative. We want to be good partners. We want to figure out a solution that works for everybody. But this is not a sort of an end-around way to submarine the thing. That's not what we're after. So I think that is good to note. The other thing is we want to respect the work that the engineers have done over the last 12 months. So I had a long conversation with Eric Schiller, the project manager, and I assured him that we were not going to be trashing him at this meeting today. We know that they have expertise that we don't have. We know that they've dedicated their careers to doing these things, and we respect their expertise and their work. And I certainly appreciate all the different ways that they've interacted with the business community. The other thing that I think that these two go hand in hand, these last two, is this is not a few loud voices. I'm going to give you trends today. I'm not cherry picking comments. I wanted you to get all the raw data so you can draw your own conclusions. You can see exactly what the comments are. We picked some ones that we thought were representative. You might look at some other ones that are meaningful to you, but this is a broad swath of the Baxter business community. So with that, I'll just cut to the chase and we'll go through some of the detail. Here's the top line business feedback. And I think it's interesting that this first bullet here This mirrors the Brainerd Dispatch Survey, almost exactly. They, as you know, they do polls on their website. I haven't seen too many that have garnered 1,000 plus responses, but essentially this mirrors what you see on their website as well. So I think there's validity there. And that 60% rate the design is poor or very poor, and 58% want major changes to the design. That's what we're hearing from the business community. 20% say the design may lead them to a close, relocate, or sell. That's especially concerning to me. 51% expect revenue losses. That was followed up with a question. Well, we know it's going to be hard when the construction's happening, but how long do you expect this will be the case? And about a third say we expect these to be long-term or permanent losses. And then the other thing that I really want to highlight, and I think this came in up at the last meeting as well, is how many of these customers are from out of town? We asked them that question. What percent? And what we learned is about 1 out of 3 customers are tourists or out-of-town visitors. That's what the businesses are telling us. And the top concerns, as I mentioned last time, is visibility and complexity of access. Those would be the 2 main concerns. So I want to show you this. I know you've seen this before, but if I was going to boil this down into a single statement, what I would say is that there is a high value placed by our business community on the northbound tourist. So I'll say that again. There's a high value placed on the northbound tourist. Now that could be out of town or someone coming up from the cities, but they're coming either to or through Baxter. And what I would say is, if you just imagine yourself in that vehicle, not being real familiar with the area, or no, Brad, if this is, okay, I'm pointing, but there's no laser on the screen. I can see it on my hand though. So anyway, so if you're going northbound over the overpass over 210, you can see, if you imagine yourself with a carload of kids trying to get to the cabin or whatever. If you catch a glimpse of that area in the northwest corner, so that I would say the Cub Foods Essential Retail Zone, as it exists now, you have to make an immediate decision to exit in order to reach that efficiently. So you make an immediate decision to exit. If you can, you'll go through the first roundabout by Coles, the second roundabout by Excelsior. You would then proceed under 371 to the roundabout that already exists, and then make your way into that retail area. And this is what we've shared with MnDOT, and I can speak for myself, is what I've shared with MnDOT from the very beginning, is this is an issue. These businesses depend on tourism customers, and the idea that someone can find their way to 1, 2, 3 roundabouts and over those businesses, knowing that people prefer not to backtrack. There's a gas station, a restaurant, a retailer that they see on the left. We've all done it. You'd rather say, kids, let's wait and we'll find someplace a little bit more convenient. So if I was going to sort of elevate any one issue, it's this access issue. We don't take any, we don't object to what MnDOT's saying about efficiency of travel. So if you pick any 2 destinations, if you know where you're going, you can get there faster than you can get down. There's no doubt about it. But what we're trying to elevate is, if people don't know where they're going, that's an issue. And businesses think, and I think rightfully so, that they're going to lose customers' revenue because of that. And I think that's not a stretch. I think that's common sense. So let me get into the survey. Here, these were the businesses who responded. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on there. You can see who responded. Had a lot of conversations after that last couple of business feedback sessions. But you're seeing a variety of different industries and geographies represented there. The profile is what we intended for it to be. So we wanted one response for business. We wanted it to be an owner and a senior leader. That's what we got, 95%. I think sometimes, and I've seen some recent I would say, digital media around this idea that these are all big box stores. Incorrect. These might be state or national brands, but they're locally owned, so I want to make sure that's noted, 72%. These are also small businesses, fewer than 25 employees. That's the makeup of the chamber. And then we asked what industry they represent. The most were from tourism, retail, and hospitality at 38%. So that's just a quick snapshot of who responded. So again, I mentioned this a couple times. 1 out of 3, they're reporting their customers are about 1 out of 3 are tourists. We asked the same question about revenue, and we had an open-ended percentage. The same thing, about 35% revenue represented from out of town, not people that live here. And I'll go through not all the questions, but some of the ones I think that are notable. This was one. The first question that we asked as a business owner or leader: how would you rate the button hook overpass interchange design? You're certainly seeing a variety of opinions there, but the trend is 60% say this is poor or very poor. That mirrors what we see in the dispatch survey from residents and others as well. Each question we asked, we allowed people to type in open-ended responses, so that's what you're seeing here. Again, I invite you to look at all the raw data. If I was going to pick a couple of themes, it is complexity. A lot of comments on roundabouts. I know we're not going to get in that debate today. But I would say maybe a general trend was that it's not intuitive for unfamiliar drivers to navigate. So overall business impacts, we didn't put the question on there because there's a lot going on this slide, but the question was on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being low, 10 being high, please rate the expected impact of the overpass design in your business. So if you look at that lower left-hand corner, 1 to 10, it shows a graphic representation of how people responded. We said negative was 1 through 4, neutral 5 and 6, and positive was 7 to 10. So you see kind of how that shook out there. The top negative impacts, again, around customers and logistics. The positive impacts, I think, is what MnDOT intended, and that's better traffic flow and improved safety, which I think are positive things as well. So again, highlights on impacts. These are some of the things that I thought were representative of other comments that are in there. But again, the themes: accessibility, visibility for the businesses, and the difficulty of navigation. And I want to throw this out too, and I would invite you to ask the MnDOT team about this. I mentioned this to Brad and some of you as well. But my understanding is that the blue signs that we see on the freeway that show what restaurants and gas stations, I think those are the 2 categories, there might be others. There was a thought that would help with navigation and visibility. What I've been told is that this area is not considered a freeway zone, so those sort of blue signs are not allowed. Now, I don't know if there's an exception that could be made or who makes that decision, but I had 2 MnDOT staffers told me that this was not likely to happen in the zone. So any sort of navigational signage would have to come from either the businesses themselves or the city. Revenue impacts, again, same sort of question. How do you believe the button hook design will affect your customer sales? 1 would be large decrease, 10 would be large increase, so we allowed people to weigh in on both sides. And so you can, again, lower left-hand corner, you see how people answered. Negative scores 1 through 4 are about half, and then you can see the neutral and positive scores in that. We followed that question up as, when do you believe this will occur? During construction, everybody knows that that's going to be a hardship during construction. 1 year, 2 years, or longer, and about 33% said they expect long-term or permanent revenue impacts from the design. So again, highlighted comments on revenue. I think it's interesting here that you're getting not the sort of the impulse businesses weighing in, so not the retail, the restaurants, the gas stations. You're getting lodging, you're getting banks. They all have their own perspectives on it, and I think they're all legitimate perspectives to share. So that's what you're going to see up there. So how would businesses respond to this? So if it's built, how would they respond? And the question allowed them to select all that apply. So if you add up all those numbers, they don't equal 100% because people can select more than one. So top changes, the top one was no major changes at 43%. But then the other one, like I said before, is concerning because it's 21% said I might close or sell. We're seeing some of those things happen now. I might move to another location, like I alluded to before. I know businesses that are looking at really specific locations right now. And then, of course, update or add signage, and that comes with the recommendations that I'll make at the end. So, highlighted comments on business changes. If there's anything that I would elevate here is a lot of people talking about signage. And that's maybe a foreshadowing of the recommendation that I know Baxter, maybe rightfully so, has a more restrictive signage ordinance. There's some curiosity as to how big and how tall those signs could be if something like this were to be put into place. So what can businesses actually do? The ones that can afford a huge pylon sign or something like that, what can they do because they can't do it now? What would you like to see happen? I kind of started with this. 58% say they favor major changes or a new design. If you look at the ones that said move forward with minor changes, you add those up, it's about 71% would like to see some change to the initial design. And these next two questions, we talked at the chamber, we decided we were just going to do word cloud so you can see what words that were most frequently used in the responses, because it's really all over the board and it really depends on the business and the industry. So I'd invite you to read the raw comments. Second one here, do you have any suggestions? These were also shared with MnDOT, the raw data, by the way. And there are a lot of specific suggestions. I wasn't sure that there was any common themes that I would elevate today, but there's a lot of ideas embedded in that survey that you can sift through. So these are the recommendations that we have, and I believe they're reasonable. So number one, simplify the Highway 371 access to that Cub Essentia retail zone. That would be, if I was going to elevate one as far as highest priority, that would be the one. Because you have to go through 3 roundabouts to get there, or you have to bypass it and backtrack. So we are not going to play armchair transportation engineer and draw on the maps and say you should just do it this way. We recognize that they have the expertise, and we don't, because they're dealing with a lot of complexity and right-of-ways and elevations and things. But we're saying the idea that people are going to go through 3 roundabouts and find these businesses at the same way that they're doing now is highly unlikely. So we're saying to MnDOT, could you please simplify that access? Second one, and you know what? I'm going to go to number 3 first here. So the other change would be Fairview Road, the Golf Course Drive, and Design Road. When I went to the open house, I was very happy to see that they amended the design to have 2 right turns into Fairview and Golf Course Drive. That solved some problems. So I do compliment MnDOT for listening to that and taking a lot of feedback and actually taking action on that. Design Road would be another one. We know it's closed now. There's some things that you're doing there, but there's a good collection of businesses there too. What about a right turn there? The other one that comes up quite a bit in conversation and through the survey, you'll see a number of comments, is a question mark about Boyner Road. So the question is, If we know that on a Thursday, Friday afternoon, that traffic is stacking up at 210 or at College, and now we're eliminating the 210 intersection that's lighted, are we just shifting that traffic up to Lloyd and it's going to stack up there?
Did your survey show what MnDOT's proposing for Ware Road?
No.
Do you know if that's been shown to business owners?
No, and honestly, I've not seen that myself. I've had some conversations about it, but I don't know exactly what that is. And it sounds like they might have an answer to that question, but I wanted to elevate it today because I think it's legit. So if the traffic, let's just pretend for a minute that the traffic does queue up from there, which it may not. They have modeling and things that shows that. It certainly presents hardships for the businesses between 210 and Wida, because if people are stacked up, they're far less likely to go off that road and try to get back on. We think they're going to just wait until there's a little bit less congestion. So, and I showed this to the MnDOT team as well, but the question that I would have is, what plans do you have, and how do you see this working so it doesn't put undue pressure on that White intersection? Yep. But to answer your question, no. We didn't share it, and I haven't seen it. I've heard a lot about what might be coming in the future, but I haven't seen anything definitive. Almost done here. And then the fourth one would be for Baxter to signal some willingness to work on that sign ordinance to loosen that up so people within the zone can sign so that people can find a way to certain businesses within it. That wraps it up. What I would say is, if there was something that I would be asking you for today, and I know you're not voting, there's plenty of the process left to go. But if there is something that I would ask you today is to send a formal letter or an indication through your staff to MnDOT that you'd like to see some of these recommendations considered, explored options, a design change, before you would consider granting municipal consent in anywhere from 2 to 5 months from now. This is the time, I know we've been at this for a while, but this is the time to make these changes. I think when you present a first draft like this, I think it's reasonable to have these alterations. I know the city has sent a memo with a variety of things that you'd like to see. But the business community, these transportation changes have lasting impacts to the business community. I think it would be naive to think that this one wouldn't, especially with the scope and scale. So with that is the presentation in a nutshell, and I thank you for indulging me here for about 20-25 minutes to go through.
Any questions up to this point? There'll be a lot more discussion, Matt, and
Sure.
keep you posted where we're at with that. So thanks for your time also.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, man.
This time I'd look for a motion to adjourn the workshop. Motion by Sue. Patrick, all in favor? Aye. We'll be right back for council meeting at 7.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. welcome to our council meeting. Any additions or changes, Brad?
Just one clarification, the online version of the agenda, number 22 says enter text here. That is a computer error. I just want to make sure that on the printed portion, it is actually closed session under Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subdivision 3 for performance evaluation.
Okay. Great, next thing on the agenda, excuse me, is public comments. Anybody has anything you'd like to address us about that's not on the agenda, we would entertain those comments at this point. Seeing none, we'll move forward. The consent agenda, the following items are considered non-controversial by staff and are recommended to be read and passed in one motion. Any council person, staff, citizen, or meeting attendee can request one or more items be pulled from the consent agenda. And the item will be pulled and addressed immediately after the passage of the consent agenda. Otherwise, the following items will be passed in one motion. Number one, approve the city council work session minutes from July 15th, 2025. Number two, approve the city council minutes from July 15th, 2025. Number three, approve the city council special minutes from July 17th, 2025. Number four, approve the payment of bills and finance report. Number five, approve the appointment of Douglas Wolf to the Utilities Commission. Number six, approve the appointment to the seasonal position of park attendant. Number seven, accept donation from Baxter Lions Club for the 2025-19 night. Number eight, authorize crack sealing of Eagle Ridge Drive, Eagle Drive, and Mountain Ash Drive in the estimated amount of $17,634.95. Number nine, authorize staff to auction out 2006 GMC 1500 Sierra truck on Mid-State Auto Auction. Number 10, approve the Treader Trucking Excavation Inc. change order number one in the amount of $7,590 for the 2025 Clearwater Road Dog Park project. Number 11, approve the Treader Trucking and Excavating Inc. partial pay estimate number two in the amount of $53,844.42 for the 2025 Clearwater Road Dog Park project. Number 12, approve the WSN proposal in a not to exceed amount of $14,750 for planning of the Clearwater Park, Baxter Dog Park location located south of Clearwater Road and west of Grand Oaks Drive. Number 13, return the $324,896 in ATP-3 project program funds to MnDOT for the Southwest Baxter Stormwater Overflow Improvements Project and direct staff to reapply for fiscal year 2029. Number 14, approve the 2024 financial statements of the 2024 Bergen KDV audit report and its findings. Number 12, a special event application for Lakes Country Triathlon on August 25th, 2024.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Cross.
I'll second.
Second by Patrick. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Other business number 16, adopt resolution number 2025-062, ordering improvement and preparation of plans for the 2026 Clearwater Road, North Lindell area, Brentwood Circle Street, and Utility Improvements Project, municipal project number 4068. Brad?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As council can refer to in the minutes section of the agenda on July 17th, the council held a improvement hearing on the said project. Tonight is a request for consideration of ordering the improvement forward by adopting resolution 2025.062. Adoption of that resolution would authorize staff to prepare the plans and specifications and to go out to bid for the project. Following the 429 process, this does require a 4/5 vote. We do have the project engineer here to answer any questions that the council may have regarding the project, but we are looking for the council's consideration for adoption of the resolution.
Council comments or questions?
I have a question. I need clarification. If we vote, or if I vote to approve this moving forward for bids, do we as a council still have the opportunity to review the assessment policy on how many years before the homeowner contractors have to hook up to city water sewer to perhaps review, the number of years they can take to pay off the assessment?
We can make those changes up to the assessment hearing.
Okay.
Correct, Chairman?
Yes, they'll, prior to sending out assessment notices, we have to have anything changed.
Okay.
But it would be.
I'm gonna make a statement and then offer a resolution, if you will, about this whole thing. We're missing a commissioner tonight because of work-related issues. We're looking at spending a lot of money. I think it's $7 million, something like that. It's a lot of money to the taxpayers. It's a lot of money to the city. I don't know how the vote's gonna go. It's illegal to ask those questions, and I never have. So I don't know how it would go. But I do think that when we look at a project of this caliber, of this cost, we should all be here. And so I think that we should all be weighing in on it. Our fingerprints should be on it, whether it's voted up or down. Either way, we have input in it. So I'm going to make a motion to table this for 2 more weeks and bring it back. And everybody can weigh in. I have no idea how it's going to go. I have no idea how everybody's going to vote. It could get blown out of the water. It could pass. I don't know. But I really think that when we're looking at this kind of a project, this kind of dollars, everybody should weigh in. And so that'd be my recommendation. We'll see. Maybe we'll go anywhere, but I would make that motion.
I can support that.
Yeah, I think I agree. For something that requires a 4 to 5 vote and one person's missing, it'd be tough to move forward with that.
Any other discussion?
Just if we do this, I hope that it would become kind of a protocol that we would do it on every project that required a 4/5 vote. I'm not sure that we have done that in the past on every single project.
Yeah, well, I would definitely be for it. It should be. It's our job. It's our job, and we should be here. And I'm criticizing. I'm just saying that things do come up, but then maybe we'll have to make the curve in the road to make sure that it happens. I agree with you, Mark. You have a motion and a second. Ready for
I
the
don't know if we officially got a second. I just had the support. Councilmember Liscio said support, but I do need an actual motion. That's up to you second. The motion.
What Mayor Olson said?
Yeah.
I second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So moving on, council comments, Connie.
This past week, I had the opportunity to spend some time with Parks and Trail Supervisor Alex Hondo. And we not only walked through the dog park again, but I also was given a tour of the Public Works facility. And for me to go there and put eyes on all the equipment and all the things that are stored, I walked away being so impressed with how organized the building was, for one, and how clean it was. And then it became, so I want to thank Alex for that. And I know it wasn't just Alex, it takes a team to keep the building looking that way and buying into the procedures. But then going to Night to Unite last night, we all get to enjoy the beautiful parks, and they look okay, looked fantastic last night. But then you hook that up with the building and all the supplies and the pieces of equipment that it takes to make the parks look so fabulous. So I just wanted to thank Alex for the time and to say I was impressed. That's it.
Thank you. Patrick?
No comment.
Watch out for motorcycles.
Thank to our police department for another great night, and the contributions that the Baxter Lions Club makes every year. We appreciate their involvement too, so we can pass that on to Matt. City Administrator?
No city administrator report, but we do have item under the attorney's report, which is to go into closed session for performance review, outlining the statute that's applicable to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to close the open session and open the closed session.
Second. Charlie, still second by Frost. All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That ends the council meeting at this point. Thank you for coming.
You're on the project?
Say the right.
You're on. Yes. Are they done already?